Right now at 6 o'clock, a community is shaken after a mother is accused of intentionally throwing her baby off of a hotel balcony.
She told her sister, "Don't go back to the hotel." She said it once, then she said it again and again. But by then, it was already too late. Because just outside that beachfront hotel in Galveston, Texas, on the pavement, wrapped in a white blanket, was 17-month-old Channel Yonko, unresponsive, in a tragic state. And the only one who knew what truly happened was her mother. At first, it sounded like a horrible accident, perhaps a fall from a balcony or just a tragic mistake. But then police found the knife, the wounds, the stroller, and the surveillance footage. What started as a heartbreaking mystery quickly unraveled into something no one was ready for. Not even the officers on the scene, because this wasn't just a mother in crisis. This was a woman with a strange past, a violent twist, and a trail of red flags. And today, we're diving into a case that shocked even the most seasoned detectives. This is the case of Channel Yonko. But before we begin, I just want to take a moment to thank you, my incredible viewers and subscribers. Your likes, shares, and thoughtful comments don't just support this channel. They help keep these stories alive. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and become part of this growing community that believes every story deserves to be told, and no victim should ever be forgotten. Now, let's get into it. It was just another quiet morning in Galveston on October 23rd, 2024. The kind of calm that makes you forget something could be wrong. But for one passerby, that morning would be etched in his memory forever. A man was walking near the beachfront Palms Hotel when something caught his eye. A white blanket, half on the sidewalk, half spilling into the street. And beneath it, what no one should ever have to see, a tiny body, a 17-month-old girl, lying in a pool of. He rushed to call for help, but it was too late to save her. Emergency crews arrived within minutes, working desperately to get the little girl to the hospital. She was transported to the trauma center at UTMB Galveston around 9:45 a.m. But just 10 minutes later, she was pronounced dead. Doctors quickly confirmed what no one wanted to hear. 3 puncture wounds, meaning she had been stabbed before being thrown off the building. Since the blanket itself didn't have any puncture marks, she must have been wrapped in it after the stabbing. The tragedy that had first looked like an unfortunate fall from a balcony was now something far darker, something intentional, a homicide. So, who was the woman at the center of this? Channel Yonko, a 30-year-old from Houston, was no stranger to controversy. Her life had already been marked by strange decisions, things that never quite added up. At just 23, she married an 80-year-old man, a man who would soon file for annulment, claiming he'd been tricked. He argued that the marriage was never consummated, and that she had a child with another man during their time together, a man with a criminal record that spanned multiple states. But that wasn't all. In 2019, Channel found herself once again in the spotlight when Child Protective Services was called. Her baby, just 5 months old, was rushed to the ER, the child found with blue lips and a red body. Both parents, Channel and the father, were reportedly in an altered state, and things didn't add up. The doctors wanted the child to stay overnight for observation, but Channel and her partner took the child and left. Against medical advice, no charges were filed at the time, but the damage had been done. This wasn't the first time Channel had been at the center of a child welfare case, but this time it would be different. This time, the outcome would be final.
19, her husband was seeking an annulment, claiming another man with an extensive criminal record had fathered a child with her. A marriage certificate says the two had married in 2017, when Yonko was 23 and her husband 80, although he claims their marriage was never consummated. What's more, he claims he was tricked into marrying her. The case was dismissed in 2020 due to inaction. The annulment, it appears, never granted.
Now, let's revisit what really happened in the hotel. The morning of October 23rd had begun like any other. Channel Yonko was staying at the Beachfront Palms Hotel in Galveston with her 17-month-old daughter Hannah and her sister Mercedes. They were preparing to check out, packing their things, getting ready to leave, just like any family finishing up a vacation. But there was a twist. Mercedes needed to step out. She left for a brief visit to see her fiancé at a nearby hotel. It wasn't supposed to be long, just a quick break before heading back to gather their things and leave. However, when Mercedes returned, things weren't as they seemed. Channel had appeared, pushing a stroller. She said Hannah was inside. But Mercedes never actually saw the baby, and then Channel did something strange. She kept saying it, "Don't go back to the hotel," over and over. Mercedes thought it was odd. Why would Channel keep saying that? Why try to stop her from returning? But by then, the warning was more than just an odd request. It was a cover-up, and the truth about what had really happened was already slipping away. The investigation took a disturbing turn when police uncovered critical evidence. A trash bag found in the parking garage beneath the hotel contained several items that raised more questions than answers. Inside that bag, authorities found a room key to Channel's hotel room, a skinning knife, its black handle catching the light, unused diapers, plastic toys, and unopened kids' snacks.
Detectives also found a trash bag in a nearby trash bin with a knife, plastic toys, unused diapers, and unopened snacks.
These seemingly ordinary items didn't add up. Why would a knife be discarded alongside children's items? Was it a part of the plan, or something left behind in the chaos? And then, the surveillance footage revealed more. Channel had been seen in the hotel lobby, pushing Hannah in a stroller. Her foot moved inside, proof the baby was alive just moments before she fell. Later, cameras from the second floor caught the horrifying moment Hannah plunged from what appeared to be the third floor, landing first on the grass, then rolling onto the concrete sidewalk. Just hours after the body of her daughter was discovered, Channel Yonko was found not far from the scene. But she wasn't running. She was crying, disoriented, and asking for help. When the officers approached, they saw a woman who seemed lost, disconnected from the chaos she had just been part of. She made vague, incoherent statements about her daughter, something about her being sick, but there was no clarity, no real explanation. Then Channel refused to give her name. Instead, she insisted on speaking to a lawyer. It was as though she knew the weight of what she'd just done, but was already preparing to defend herself.
When police arrived to the scene, they found Hannah unresponsive with puncture wounds. She died at the hospital. Detectives eventually found Yonko nearby, crying, asking for help, mentioning her daughter might be sick. Yonko's sister told police they all three stayed at the hotel. Yonko's sister left Wednesday morning, leaving Yonko and the baby at the hotel. Police say Chanel later arrived with the stroller, but without Chanel. Yonko's sister found it suspicious when Chanel repeatedly told her not to go back to the hotel. Investigators say surveillance video shows Hannah falling from what appeared to be the third-floor balcony.
The arrest was quick, and she was booked on charges of capital murder, with the full weight of the law hanging over her head. Held without bond, Channel faced a legal storm that would soon turn her life upside down. But as Channel was processed, and her case began its legal journey, new questions arose. What was going on inside her head? Had she planned this, or was this an act of pure psychosis? Her attorney quickly requested a psychiatric evaluation. After all, a woman accused of such a heinous act must undergo a mental health assessment to determine if she could stand trial. The evaluation was performed by Dr. Edward Grian, a psychiatrist with years of experience in criminal cases. And the findings? Channel was found competent to stand trial. She understood the legal proceedings and could participate in her defense. She denied drug use, denying the possibility that substances had influenced her actions. But what she did admit was telling. She'd experienced head trauma in the past and struggled with forgetfulness. But what did this all mean? Could she have been mentally unstable? Dr. April Alexander, a forensic psychologist, weighed in on the evaluation. She said, it could be psychosis, or it could be premeditation. The evidence didn't point to someone in a complete break from reality. Channel had hidden the evidence, the knife, the room key, the toys, and had told her sister not to return to the hotel, almost as if she knew the truth was dangerous. Premeditation was starting to look more likely. So, what kind of crime are we talking about here? It's called filicide, the act of a parent killing their own child. But what makes this crime so disturbing isn't just the act itself, but the motives behind it. In many cases, filicide is driven by psychosis, trauma, or even a twisted sense of altruism. Some parents, lost in their own delusions, believe that the death of their child is somehow in the child's best interest, like it's an act of mercy. But in others, the reasons are darker. Some do it out of anger, out of frustration, or in the grips of severe mental illness. In Channel Yonko's case, the motive remains elusive. There was no clear explanation, no message, no manifesto, no hint of why this happened. There was no suicide attempt on her part, no indication she was trying to end her own life alongside her daughter's. And that's what makes this case so haunting, because it's hard to understand why a mother would do this to her own flesh and blood.
Surveillance video from this hotel appears to be a key piece to this investigation, but the motive for why Channel Yonko would kill her baby is still unknown, leaving many people in this community heartbroken.
As the days went by, the legal system moved quickly. In January 2025, Channel Yonko was indicted by a grand jury, and the trial date was set for December 1st, 2025. It would be a lengthy process, with 2 weeks expected for the full proceedings. But there was one big question still hanging over it all. Would the Galveston County District Attorney's Office seek the death penalty? The DA, Jack Rode, is still weighing the decision. In a statement he said, "The taking of a human life in the name of justice is the most serious decision. We must weigh mitigating factors, future dangerousness, and all legal elements." The road ahead for Channel Yonko is uncertain. Would she face execution, or would her mental health, her troubled past, and the tragedy of her actions help sway the court toward a different path? As the investigation continued, the community rallied together to honor a life lost too soon. Outside the Beachfront Palms Hotel, a growing memorial began to take shape. Flowers, teddy bears, candles, a reminder of a little girl who should have had her whole life ahead of her.
Just heartbroken, extremely heartbroken. I have a soft spot for kids, and I just wish it would have never happened. I would have given anything to change the outcome.
She mattered. You know, I'm sorry somebody else didn't think she did, but I feel she mattered. She mattered to me because it broke my heart. And she deserves so much better than to be left out in the street like trash.
And again, Yonko is being held in the Galveston County Jail without bond, and prosecutors say that she intentionally caused her daughter's death by throwing her from the 3rd floor of this hotel. You guys referenced that makeshift memorial out here, and this might be a person right now that is getting ready to drop off maybe a flower or a teddy bear. She has a teddy bear in her hand that she's going to drop off here, and she is praying for this little girl. But this is what we've been seeing out here these past 2 hours here in the Galveston area. People just showing their respects and showing their love for this little girl's life who was tragically.
Brandon, the man who had found her lifeless body, later said, "She looked perfect, a little girl who should have had her whole life ahead of her. But she didn't.
3 puncture wounds on the child and video.
And that truth weighed heavily on everyone who heard her story. A life snuffed out before it could even begin. Sometimes we tell these stories to seek justice. Sometimes it's because the silence of the truth is worse than any crime itself. Hannah Yonko didn't get to grow up, but maybe in telling her story, we can help protect the next child who still can. So, what do you think? Is this a case of mental illness? Should Channel Yonko face the death penalty for what she did? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And, as always, if you want to hear more stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. Keep the conversation going.